A story about discovering an ancient artifact isn't just about the artifact itself, it's also about how it was discovered, where it was found, and what it might signify. An artifact can be a physical bridge between us and those who lived before, but for it to truly become that link, we need to understand its story. Let us share a few of those super amazing stories with you in this video. Number 15. Codex Perpurius Rossinensis. The Codex Perpurius Rossinensis is one of the oldest illustrated manuscripts of the New Testament, dating back roughly 1,500 years. Preserved in the town of Rossano in southern Italy, its most defining feature is its vivid purple pages, dyed using a surprisingly strange method. In 2016, researchers discovered that the manuscript's purple hue wasn't from the typical sea snail dye, but instead a mixture of lichen and fermented urine. Despite that, the color has held up remarkably well over the centuries. Even more impressive are the vibrant red pigments made from elderberries, a dye once thought not to exist until much later in history. The Codex's pages still showcase stunningly clear Christian iconography, even though the text has faded in places. This blend of artistry and chemistry shows how far early scribes went to preserve sacred scripture. It also gives us a closer look into the experimental, hands-on process behind medieval manuscript creation. And after knowing what's in the ink, washing your hands before and after seems like a smart move. I mean, who writes something this holy with P? It's just disgusting. Number 14. Sequilos Epitap. Well, back in 1883, during railway construction near Aydin in Turkey, a stone column was pulled from the Holy Earth. Inscribed on its surface was something unexpected, the oldest known complete musical composition in the world. Known as the Sequilos Epitap, the inscription includes lyrics and musical notation carved into stone around 1,900 years ago. Dedicated to a man named Sequilos, it served as both a tombstone and a message to the living. The lyrics offer a timeless reflection, urging listeners to embrace life while they can. Unlike earlier fragments found on clay tablets, this piece is complete from beginning to end, with melody preserved in ancient Greek musical notation. It was originally written for a lyre, and when played today, it still carries its melancholic tone. The simplicity of the music only strengthens its message. The Sequilos Epitap isn't just a historical artifact, it's proof that music, memory, and grief have always walked side by side. It's the oldest song we can still hear as its creator once intended. Number 13. Venus of Doli Vista. The oldest known portrait of a living human is smaller than a thumb and was found at Doli Vista in Moravia, Czech Republic. Carved from mammoth ivory during the last ice age, it dates back around 26,000 years. Historians generally agree that the sculpture represents an adult woman, her hair pulled tightly atop her head with a fringe across her brow. Some argue she might be wearing a fur-lined hat instead. While there are older depictions of people, this one stands apart. The facial features are detailed and individualized, hinting at a real person rather than a stylized human form. It could even be a self-portrait. One eye is fully open, while the other is shut and marked by a narrow slit, leading some experts to suspect she had a medical condition, perhaps even a stroke. Of course, we'll never know for sure. Still, this piece may be the closest thing we'll ever have to a physical likeness of a real Ice Age individual. Number 12. Galileos' middle finger. On display at the Galileo Museum in Florence is a strange artifact, Galileo Galilei's middle finger encased in a glass reliquary. It's not the sort of thing you'd expect in a museum devoted to science, but its journey is as strange as its preservation. The finger was reportedly removed in 1737, nearly a century after Galileo's death, by Anton Francesco Gori, who took it during a reinterment ceremony. Over time, other pieces of Galileo, his thumb, index finger, and even a tooth, were also separated and passed through private hands before being reunited at the museum. Traditionally, reliquaries house remains of saints, which is ironic considering Galileo was condemned as a heretic for challenging church doctrine. Some see the raised finger as symbolic, either pointing to the stars, which fascinated him his entire life, or perhaps silently defying those who tried to silence him. Either way, the preserved finger is more than a curiosity, it's a reminder of the scientist who stood firm in the face of powerful opposition. Number 11. Arini 1 Leather Shoe. To understand someone, walk a mile in their shoes, or in this case, 5,500 years in theirs. In 2010, archaeologists found what's now considered the world's oldest leather shoe inside a cave in Armenia. It was crafted from a single piece of cowhide, shaped to fit the wearer's foot precisely, and dates back roughly a millennium before the Great Pyramid of Giza. The shoe was surprisingly intact, its preservation aided by the cool, dry cave conditions. It had been filled with grass, though it's still debated whether that served to insulate the foot or simply helped the shoe maintain its shape when not worn. Its size corresponds to a modern U.S. women's 7, though that doesn't confirm the gender of the wearer. People were smaller in general at the time. This ancient piece of footwear, though simple, connects us to the everyday life of someone who lived over 5,000 years ago. And clearly, leather shoes were already timeless. Number 10. Celtic Shield Burial. When archaeologists found the grave of a Celtic warrior in Pocklington, East Yorkshire, back in 2019, they didn't expect what came with it. Inside the tomb was a rare Iron Age shield, a chariot, and 2 ponies buried upright, one of the most elaborate warrior burials ever found in Britain. The site dates back about 2,000 years. Now, what set the shield apart from other ancient stuff wasn't just its excellent preservation, but its unique scalloped edge, unlike anything seen before in Iron Age Europe. Such shields were once thought to be ceremonial only, but signs of wear and repairs prove this one saw real combat. Alongside weapons, the presence of the chariot and standing ponies hints at elite status or perhaps even ritual significance. It's the first chariot burial in Britain to include animals in such a dramatic fashion. This discovery doesn't just show the wealth and power of the person buried, it challenges old ideas about Iron Age warfare, craftsmanship, and how warriors were honored after their death. History is pretty missing, isn't it? Number 9. The Book of Kels. The Book of Kels has long been hailed as one of medieval Europe's most significant treasures. Also known as the Book of Columba, it's an ornate Latin manuscript of the 4 Gospels believed to date back to the 9th century. Though the exact location of its creation remains uncertain, historians are confident it was produced in a Columban monastery, possibly in Ireland, Scotland, or England. While primarily based on the Vulgate, the Book of Kels also includes elements from earlier biblical texts. It's not just a religious document, it's a visual masterpiece. The calligraphy is attributed to at least 3 different scribes. Most scholars believe the manuscript served a ceremonial role and was likely kept on the high altar, only used for readings during Mass. Often referred to as the pinnacle of insular illumination, the book is also considered one of Western calligraphy's greatest achievements. Whether or not one is religious, the craftsmanship and aesthetic of the Book of Kels still leave an undeniable impression. Number 8. Sappos' Lost Poems. Sappho of Lesbos was one of ancient Greece's most celebrated poets. Though widely revered in her time, almost all of her work has been lost, except for a few fragments and 1 complete poem. That changed in 2014, when researchers uncovered 2 nearly complete poems on a piece of papyrus that had quietly passed through private collections for decades. Dated to the 3rd century, the papyrus revealed poems that mention Sappho's brothers, Larichos and Charaxos, as well as a prayer to Aphrodite. These poems offer a rare glimpse into her personal world and familial relationships. What's remarkable is that no one realized what the papyrus contained until scholars re-examined it. The discovery added new depth to our understanding of Sappho's voice, not just as a poet of love and longing, but also of family, prayer, and identity. In an era where most women's voices were erased or ignored, Sappho's survival, even in fragments, is rare. These poems are a direct thread back to a singular voice from 2,600 years ago. Number 7. Stoutgart Playing Cards. In the 1970s, a collector in Amsterdam bought a pack of 52 antique playing cards for $2,800, estimating they were from the 16th century. After 5 years of close study, he proved they were much older, crafted between 1465 and 1480. That revelation made them the world's oldest surviving complete set of playing cards. Their South Netherlandish origin was confirmed through watermark analysis, artistic motifs, and hairstyles depicted on Burgundian court figures. The watermarks themselves were typical of paper produced in the Netherlands during that era. Unlike modern cards featuring hearts, diamonds, spades, and clubs, these carried suits like game nooses, dog collars, tethers, and horns. The buyer later sold the cards to the Metropolitan Museum of Art in New York for $143,000, a huge return on his initial investment. But beyond the price tag, the cards offer a glimpse into a different kind of pastime in 15th century Europe. They reflect not just play, but the taste, hierarchy, and humor of an era that feels suddenly close. Number 6. Gold Rush Era Jean. In 2022, a pair of heavily aged jeans sold for $114,000 at auction. Despite their water damage, they hold historical value. They were recovered from a trunk found in the wreckage of the SS Central America, lost off the North Carolina coast in 1857. The jeans likely belonged to a miner traveling during the California Gold Rush. What makes experts identify them as jeans rather than general trousers is their 5-button fly. The ship itself was nicknamed the Ship of Gold due to the vast wealth found in its remains. Since its discovery in 1988, over 21 tons of material, including gold coins, have been pulled from the site. The trunk that held the jeans belonged to John Dement, a resident of Oregon. There's an ongoing debate about whether these might be an early Levi Strauss creation, but no definitive proof has surfaced. Still, they remain one of the earliest surviving examples of denim, offering a tangible trace of frontier life and 19th century fashion. Number 5. Hagiatria Sarcophagus. The Hagiatria Sarcophagus remains one of the most puzzling Minoan artifacts ever uncovered. Found in 1903 at the western edge of Crete, it dates back about 3,500 years and is covered with painted scenes that bear a striking resemblance to Egyptian funerary art. Its illustrations show a man traveling by boat, likely symbolizing a journey to the afterlife, an unmistakably Egyptian theme. The style and symbolism have left historians divided. Some believe it points to deep cultural ties between the Minoans and Egyptians, while others suggest it records the Minoans' own ritual practices shaped by distant influence. The sarcophagus, unusually made of limestone rather than clay, is elaborately decorated and filled with scenes that have challenged scholars for more than a century. Did Egyptians bring their beliefs this far west, or were the Minoans more globally connected than we thought? The Hagiatria Sarcophagus hasn't given up its full story yet, but what's certain is that it reshaped how we understand both Minoan and Mediterranean ancient belief systems. Alright, now let's move to number 4, the wine cup of Shah Jahan. The wine cup of Shah Jahan is precisely what its name suggests, a drinking vessel used by the 17th century Mughal emperor, but calling it just a wine cup barely captures its elegance. Crafted from white nephrite jade, the cup is shaped with a flowing paisley design. Its handle forms the head of a ram, while the base is modeled as a lotus flower, resting on acanthus leaves. An inscription around the bottom reads Second Lord of the Conjunction, placing Shah Jahan as second only to Timur, his great ancestor and a legendary ruler. Scientific tests confirm the cup was produced in India, but the artisan who made it remains unknown. Following the Indian Rebellion of 1857, the piece was acquired by Colonel Charles Seton Guthrie and brought to England. Today it's on display in the Victoria and Albert Museum in London. While it may be a simple drinking vessel in purpose, the craftsmanship and symbolism are just mind-blowing. Number 3. Vindelanda Tablets. In 1973, archaeologists excavating Vindelanda, a Roman fort near Hadrian's Wall in northern England, stumbled upon a set of thin wooden tablets called Vindelanda letters. Dating back nearly 2,000 years, they turned out to be handwritten notes from Roman soldiers and their families. Until then, no one even realized the Romans in Britain wrote on wood. These tablets shattered that assumption. Some are personal. One letter is a birthday invitation from one Roman woman to another. Others are more practical, with soldiers requesting socks, sandals, and fresh underwear from home. The language is casual, conversational, and deeply human. Over 700 of these letters have since been recovered, each offering a raw first-hand look at daily life on the Roman frontier. They're not from generals or emperors, they're from people living through cold nights, long tours, and homesickness. Vindelanda is still being excavated today, and with each dig, more pieces of the Roman world written in ink and preserved in soil come back into the light. Number 2. The Ardabil Carpets. When people mention the Ardabil carpet, they're often referring to the larger of two nearly identical Persian carpets now housed in the Victoria and Albert Museum in London, but there were always two. And the second, smaller one is now in the Los Angeles County Museum of Art. In the 19th century, parts of the smaller carpet were used to help restore and complete the larger one, which now measures an enormous 34 feet by 17 feet. Both carpets are known for their Tabriz-style artistry, with a bold central medallion and intricate floral motifs radiating outward. The design is said to represent a Persian garden, considered a symbol of paradise in Islamic tradition. A woven cartouche on the larger carpet provides the date 1539, making it the oldest Persian carpet with a confirmed creation year. Despite restoration efforts and historical changes, the Ardabil carpets remain masterpieces of Islamic art, testaments to the precision, creativity, and devotion of the weavers who made them nearly 5 centuries ago. Number 1. Poison Cabinet Book. Back in 2017, a strange object began circulating online, a book from the year 1600 with a hollowed-out interior and rows of labeled drawers. At first, it looked like an elaborate hoax, but under expert review, it turned out to be real, a small poison cabinet disguised as a book. Each drawer was marked with the name of a toxic plant, belladonna, valerian, castor bean, and more. One glass vial still remained inside, bearing a Latin inscription, "It is inevitable that all men must die." Some historians think it might have belonged to an assassin. Others suggest it was used by an apothecary, since medicine and poison were often closely related in early modern Europe. Small controlled doses of certain poisons were used for pain relief or other treatments. The craftsmanship is just as detailed as the labeling, fitting for something designed to hide in plain sight. Whether it belonged to a healer or a killer, this object proves that in the 17th century, life and death could be stored side by side on a shelf. If you've enjoyed this video, be sure to like, share, and subscribe. Thanks for hanging with us, and we'll see you soon in the next one.